Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Time Ram. It's not about sheep. It's not really much about time. It's about Doctor Who. So welcome to the show. And what the idea of this show is, it's very simple. It's that you use a random number generator and you generate a number from 1 to 13 and you pick a doctor. And then you generate a number from 1 to, make note of this, 298 is what the Doctor Who wiki says the number of Doctor Who stories is.
That's
and
a lot.
you
Must
get
be
a story.
true.
And so you kind of whiz them up and mix them up and you get a Doctor and a story. I'm Rupert. I'm Rupert Booth. Myself, Mr. Paul Ferry and Mr. Barry Williams, three middle-aged white men who are going to talk about Doctor Who. Stick with it. So... Baz and Paul, hi.
Hello.
Was that it?
We said hello. Yeah,
what
do you want? We also said hello in the wrong order from the way Rupert had said our names, so that's really going to confuse people.
So as you can see, the entire thing is going to be deeply amateurish, and we don't care. So this episode, our first episode of Time Ram, the random number generator gave us the beautiful combination of the Sixth Doctor, Colin Baker, in Mummy on the Orient Express.
Nice.
Which is kind of fascinating. So, who'd like to start? I think we said we'd have some kind of order for this, didn't we? But Baz, you're the lead. You're in charge of the storyline. You kind of talk us through the story.
Yeah, I do have some notes written down professionally. So yeah, I know what happens in the episode. Yeah, which is handy.
Nice. And Paul and I don't have any designated roles. Yeah. Just waffle around it.
I did watch it.
I watched it as well and thoroughly enjoyed it and really missed Capaldi.
Yeah. It was really good, actually. Yeah, it's a great episode.
And we may end up really missing Capaldi again in this time round. So let's kick off. I think to start off with, we have to decide, so just to get the rules straight, we're sticking with TV stories only, so there's no big finish or anything like that.
Yeah.
So basically, that means we've got a choice of Peri or Mel for the companion.
It's got to be Peri.
So
really.
it's a landslide for Peri.
It's a no-brainer.
As it was always going to be.
Besides anything else, she's got the right haircut for a sort of 1920s.
Well, she has.
Yeah. 20s flapper.
And the right motivation, because I was watching it and it starts with Clara going, basically, I've had enough. And I thought, oh, right, Peri's fed up of being strangled and flanged up by bore ads and everything. It's going to fuck this.
This is basically the season 23 story we didn't get, where Peri says, right, I've had enough. I'm off.
So we're placing it directly after Revelation of the Daleks, presumably. It's in the hiatus season.
Yeah.
Hiatus.
Such beauties as the Nightmare Fair and Mission to Magnus. So all right, Doctor and Peri materialize on the Orient Express in space.
Yeah.
How's the effect shot going to look?
I can't say that. I don't think they'd be doing a train in space in 1986. It doesn't seem very 1986. It's very noughties concept. I think probably they're going to be on a passenger liner like the Hyperion or something like that. Some kind of normal space liner. I can't imagine that they're going to be doing a flying space train.
How about they call it the Orient Express, but it's the Hyperion 3?
That would seem more likely to me.
That's what I was thinking. It looks kind of vaguely train-like. Not very train-like.
It's got that kind of front, like the American trains. It's got that kind of ribbed frontage. And who doesn't love a ribbed frontage? So
you're going to get strange blue fringed video shot of a.
You're going to get So it's going to be done. It's not going to be a beginning. It's not going to be a Trial of the Time Lord opening shot. They didn't spend the money on it. It's the middle of the season. You've got the Hyperion kind of wobbling on its chroma key background as the camera tracks past it. It's not even being shot on film.
It's definitely not on film.
Really not working.
With some Malcolm Clark music going.
Nice. Excellent. So already the story's become dingy in my estimation, because I'm now seeing the interiors as being the Hyperion 3 as well, which I hate those sets. They're just horrible.
It's going to look like that. It's definitely.
Oh dear.
And it's going to be two-parter. I'm imagining 2 45-minute episodes.
2 45 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Right. I was thinking, do we keep it to just one, or no, they would have two, so it's going to be padded.
Well, interestingly, I mean, the episode as it exists sort of runs through so quickly I feel like you could probably get another episode in there fairly easily, really.
I was thinking about this earlier and thinking what you could do. You could always, like in Time Lash, they fuck off to Scotland for a bit and spend a bit of time with Herbert. It gets you away from Carfell, and it's just a nice change of location. Actually, I think maybe you'd do that about the history of it. At the end, Capaldi's finding out where it came from and the soldier and all that sort of thing. I think maybe you could trace it back to its home world, and then the Doctor would go and face up to the Davros that created it, because he would. You'd want to go and shout at it. And pose and go, traitor, I shall destroy you, because Colin Baker. So anyway, that's jumping ahead, but I'm telling you the plot. Oh, horrible wonky model shot.
Malcolm
Clark. Malcolm Clark, as it was settled on Malcolm. Yeah, all right, mate.
Malcolm Clark.
Yeah.
Great score for Earthshock, don't get me wrong. The Vervoids one just does me nutting. Most things about Vervoids. He's
really coasting it by then, I think.
He's smoked a good one, and he's just fart.
It's mostly clanging steel bathroom, isn't it? The big rod.
He smoked a very good one. He's just sitting in a corner. How's Malcolm? He's just clanging his breath. He's clanging. Malcolm's clanging. Just leave him be. It's about Vervoids, apparently. All right, so we've got so Baz.
Well, episode as it stands opens with a countdown. It's very slick. It's the 66 seconds.
Yeah.
As Miss Hardegg, I'm sorry, Mrs. Pitts, sees a monster coming for her on the
good opening.
The train. Great opening, very strong.
So straight away we've got mid-80s BBC micro graphic countdown. Going on, so it's instantly not quite as slick. And Miss Hardegg, she could be the same actor.
It's going to be the same actor. I mean, she looks the same.
It's sat in a deck chair on the Hyperion.
She could be sitting in a deck chair, sort of on the deck.
Yeah,
kind of CSO
that big wicker deck chair that they're sitting in Terror of the Vervoids lots. Okay, that scene plays out fine, and then
she's got a very attractive daughter who can't see the mummy, but then the old lady croaks. And it's strange the titles, except it's not, because presumably we've already had the titles.
We're going to have to, because that's the format.
So would the mummy look like the mummy that it looks like in Capaldi, or would it look like something like Pyramids of Mars?
I don't think it would look that different. I don't think it would be quite as gory and skull-like, but I think it would be, a fairly emaciated, a fairly standard mummy.
Oh, please be quiet.
So we've had what was the presumably now we now have a long drawn out TARDIS arguing scene.
I would imagine so. In the actual episode, the TARDIS just arrives, but I'm imagining.
Yeah, but no, we're going to be in the TARDIS.
10 minutes of
we're going to be slagging each other off, and Peri's going, "I've had enough."
Yeah, I'm taking my plot line and I'm off. Yeah,
and that gives us a good 5 minutes of screen time.
Colin's going bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unstable. And so on. He could basically just write his entire script like that.
And so he eventually goes, I'll tell you what, one last go. I'll take you somewhere amazing. I'll take you somewhere you'll love, right? Orient Express in space. And she goes, all right, one last time. And they materialize on a dingy fucking Hyperion type set.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, the episode as it stands, we've got Jenna Coleman looking extremely lovely as a flapper.
Yes.
I can imagine Peri pulling that look off extremely well as well.
I can totally imagine that. Yeah, she really suits it, actually.
Yeah.
And she'd probably be, Nicola Bryant would be delighted to get out of those bloody leotards and shorts that they put her in.
Absolutely.
Which are just awful.
So a proper 1920s costume. And that would also maybe give Colin an excuse to tone it down a bit and put a nice jacket on.
That would be good.
Like he does in Revelation, the moment he gets that cloak, he goes, I'm having this fucking cloak. He's on as long as he possibly can. You can just tell.
Cover this shit up.
So let's say even the Doctor's looking a bit dapper. He's dressed up.
Yeah.
He's taken the jazz off and he's
in a proper bow tie and suit. I mean,
he's got an evening suit on. Yeah,
I'd imagine he'd look great. Yeah.
There's stuff online where they put him in an evening suit and you just go, why the fuck didn't they? Colin's seen them and just goes, oh. You know, you can just see you. Oh, yeah. It looks great. So yeah, he's looking proper good. They're both the pair of them look great. The TARDIS looks shabby as hell because it's the mid-80s and it's the Tom Yardley Jones prop and it's falling to bits and it smells of piss.
Go ahead, time round.
Yeah, so they go in there. Just mentioned that. I mean, Jenna Coleman and Capaldi are just killing it in this. I mean, they are so good.
Yeah.
I have to say, I think this is probably controversial, but I think Capaldi's first season is his best, in my opinion. But,
he's really going for it.
I know a lot of people would disagree with that, but that's just the way I see it.
I must sit down and watch all of Capaldi again and assess his era.
Mm.
You know, haven't really done that yet.
He does the Colin Baker
thing where he starts off really spiky and unlikable, and then he kind of softens as he goes along.
Yeah.
Pertwee as well. Pertwee's miserable in season 7.
It's true. And season 8. He's miserable in season 8.
Arguably Hartnell. Actually, unarguably Hartnell. But yeah. So Colin and Nicola look great. And then they stroll into the dingy set with the deck chairs.
Yeah. They meet Captain Quell.
Who
they immediately convince.
Tonka Quell.
Yeah. Tonka Quell, yeah. Immediately convinced they should be there. I can imagine in the 80s that's not going to happen. They're not going to have psychic paper. They're going to get locked up for a little bit.
They're going to get locked up because we've got 2 45-minute episodes to as well. Yeah. So they get locked up again, and presumably at this point we have another killing. It's another random person, like
I would say,
while they're locked up, and that causes hue and cry and screaming, and the doctor goes, "Well, we've got to get out of here and sort this," and gets out.
Yeah.
Or does Frank Skinner come and get him? Is Frank Skinner in this?
Frank Skinner was around in the 80s, but he'd be like 12, wouldn't he?
I had a good casting idea for his character. I thought, in the 80s, comedian, Brummy, Jasper Carrott.
Jasper Carrott. Genius. That's spot on. Jasper Carrott. Great. Done.
Yeah, it just seemed like the obvious choice.
Perfect.
Me, you know.
Perfect.
He'd done some acting even then. He's a Brummy.
JNT would totally have gone for that. That's totally a JNT move.
Yeah.
Sweet. He'd probably been quite good. Like Frank Skinner.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. Oh, well, that's brought some life to the dingy set, which is always a good thing.
So Captain Quell, I mean, he could probably be David Bamber, to be fair, but are we thinking any other thoughts on that?
No.
Okay, move on.
What about Michael Sheard? We're going to get Michael Sheard.
Michael Sheard, why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
It was kind of compulsory once a season, and at certain points in the 70s and 80s.
That's true. And there's also the fact that we bars dumped Michael Sheard, which is always a good story. So, you know,
back in the day,
Sheard,
yeah. So at a convention one time, you picked me up and you placed me in front of the legendary Michael Sheard.
I must, when he says, I mean, that's several of us. It wasn't just me. It just randomly. We would run around drunkenly carrying bars around. Well, no, Paul wasn't drunk, so has no excuse. But the rest of us were, and run around careering around corridors carrying bars, and we just dump them somewhere. And one day we dumped them in front of Michael Sheard, who apparently they sort of looked down and go, "What are you doing down there, boy?" in his Mr. Bronson voice, which was glorious.
I was scared.
Michael Sheard is great.
I do sometimes look back at the various things that we did at conventions and with astonishment.
Oh yeah.
And or I'll mention things to my wife, and she'll look at me as if, what were you doing?
We were obnoxious, weren't we?
We were horrible.
Yeah, we were having fun.
I'm amazed I only ever got thrown out of a convention once.
That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
So where were we?
Anyway, a bit distracted. So this, as the episode goes on, obviously in the original version, they go to the sleeping car for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Clara in her pajamas talking to her boyfriend on her phone, which definitely wouldn't happen in the 80s.
No, that's not going to be happening.
We'll cut that entirely.
If it was a bit later, though, it could be Brian Blessed, couldn't it? Hello, dear.
When are you coming home?
He doesn't need a phone for that. He's just shouting.
He's just
across the
shouting across
space.
space.
All the way from Thoros Peter, or no, he's not from Thoros Peter, is he? He's I can't remember where he's from.
Let me just read my notes here. What the hell have I written here? Here we are. Yeah. So the Doctor gets a bit bored and he goes for a walk around.
That's very Colin Baker.
It is quite Colin Baker. Yeah.
That's very Colin Baker.
And he finds an Excelsior life extender. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which in the original episode, this is where he meets Frank Skinner, but I guess we already knows he knows Jasper. So
yep.
Yeah. He's probably just investigating, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an info gathering scene, isn't it? This is a bit of an info dump where
very much
the Doctor's getting more information about what's going on, and Jasper Carrott's telling him his theories.
Yeah, this Excelsior life extender was the chair that the old lady was in when she died, but obviously it didn't work. And she's around somewhere. She's dead.
Colin Baker make a really black humor joke about that.
Yeah, what would he say?
Something enormously witty. So we'll come back to that. Whichever one of us thinks of something enormously witty.
We'll chair that for later.
Chair death and something like your just desserts.
Yeah.
We got us, that sort of quipette.
Yes. Yeah.
She took it sitting down or something. No, that's. You know what I mean?
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Yeah. So they meet her daughter. Is it her daughter? I think it's her daughter, Maisie, who has been driven a bit bonkers by events. And obviously, this is the episode that they double banked with another one. So because Jenna Coleman couldn't be in it much, Clara goes off with her and they get locked in a room together for quite a while.
Yeah, that happens to Peri a lot. Let's face it, she's always. This will be like in Time Lash, where she's spending ages with the Morlock, kind of going, "Oh, I'm really close to you now, and I'm just like an inch closer." And boy, I'm fine.
No, she spends the rest of the episode chained to a post. It's Peri, clearly. Someone leering over her,
while she heaves a bit. So that's all good.
I mean, we know.
There'd been a poster in Doctor Who magazine that we'd all have had on our walls.
Yeah. I mean, leaping ahead slightly, the main villain in this is called Gus, and he's just a voice.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's Colin Baker, he's going to be in it, and he's going to be deformed. He's going to have had some kind of radiation accident.
Episode 2, because let's follow episode 1, because we're going to have to kind of invent a lot of episode 2, I think.
Yeah, I think Gus comes in episode 2. I think, So anyway, the Doctor meets Emil Morehouse, who is the expert in the foretold.
Yeah.
So he gives a bit of an info dump as well about how it's 66 seconds and then you die.
This will be Dennis Carey.
Yeah.
Although he wasn't Time Lash, wasn't he? So that's fairly near. Maybe they wouldn't use him again.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Someone like that. Dennis Carey, then what the hell?
And then, this is... Sorry.
All right, Dennis Carey.
I was going to say we can just ditch Time Lash. Have this instead.
We're doing it instead of Time Lash.
Yeah.
I'm quite fond of Time Lash. I don't think it's any good, but it's got Paul Darrow in it, giving it that.
For season 22, it is relatively inoffensive, isn't it?
It's like Paul Darrow in that has kind of said, "Can I go over the top and do my Richard III thing?" And they've said no, and he's done it anyway.
And he said to Colin, he's on record as going, "All right, you completely overacted in my series. Here I go." And it was totally revenge for City for Babe and the Butcher. So Colin started it basically. Not that Paul was ever overacting in Blake 7.
Nicely understated. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll have to be our Christmas crossover. We'll do What If Doctor Who and Blake 7 met.
Yeah.
What if it really was the Daleks at the end of season 2?
How about Time Ram?
Time Ram? You couldn't do it in that old crock.
Wolf. Time Ram. Londoners.
So anyway, this is where things start to pick up a bit, and the mummy turns up again and kills the chef.
And the mummy we're deciding is quite well executed. There's no reason why it wouldn't be. The monsters on the whole were quite good by that point, So I think it would be decent.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be quite so slickly edited, I guess. It'd be kind of.
It wouldn't be as well lit.
No, it'd be very bright.
Who's the director? We haven't got a director for this. I mean, are we being lucky in having Graham Harper, or have we got Chris Clough? You hear what I'm saying, guys.
Well, if it's after Revelation, I mean, Harper, surely he's just done one. I can't imagine John
I think it'll be either Harper or Matthew Robinson.
Yeah.
Or it could be Ron Jones, who did Varos really nicely, I thought. So
he at least knows how to turn the lights down.
He does. Yeah. He does. So who are we having? Who's the director?
Well, shall we treat ourselves to Ron Jones then?
I wonder how many times that was said in the BBC production. Yeah, let's treat ourselves to Ron Jones. Ron Jones, high off Varos. So, all right. So, it's quite nicely lit. It's quite moody. Malcolm Clark's doing his best to undermine it, but never mind. You'll have a mummy sound, which will be, vomiting or something backwards.
So I've got a feeling this chef would be kind of sort of massively overstating the fact that he's a chef in the 80s. He would be maybe living like a French chef. Oh no, I am being attacked by a mummy.
Would he be a celebrity chef?
Yeah.
I imagine he's turned up earlier in the episode and already sort of pissed the doctor off by, laughing at his tux or something,
I think he's a celebrity. I think J&T has gone for a celeb chef. So someone like Harriet wasn't around then, was he? He'd been 10 as well.
Sneer at your poor tuxedo. Yeah. That guy with the spiky hair, I can't remember his name. He died a couple of years ago. Yeah, Gary Rhodes. He was around then.
Gary Rhodes.
So obviously J&T would have done it.
So of course it happened. Of course this happened. Yeah. Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, and he's being kind of ace before ace. He's being all right on and wicked with his spiky hair and his. So he's on the Hyperion set, is he? That's demerits.
I'm imagining he's doing Alexis Sale on it and just sort of doing a daft American accent or something. Just really,
He'll be exaggerating. He was kind of like, all right, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he's Dick Van Dyking it, and you've got Jasper Carrott giving it some. Thank God Colin's wearing a tux. That's all I can say.
There'd be pictures in the Sun of them all kind of doing a kind of ridiculous
turning together and Peri giving it some cleavage and leg as she always had to. Yep. And the mummy and there'll be some vaguely Egyptian theme to it because it's a mummy.
And there'll be some kind of deck where you can get a suntan, and Peri's telling the doctor off for not being interested in down there in his bikini. Yeah, she gets up there and spends some time tanning when she's not being tied to a post. So it's not great use of Peri, but then, as you said, it's not tremendously good use of Clara because of the production restrictions. Yeah, I mean, they do the best of what they can,
What it shows, what it is, though, is sadly, for that era, it's typical use of Peri, which is a great shame.
So, the doctor takes charge of the investigation. Quell's pretty much useless, but obviously the engineer, Perkins, Jasper Carrott, is very much on the case. I think he turns out to be a bit of an expert in what's going on as well. And then, in the episode, Clara is locked in this carriage in the baggage container, and there's a kind of a coffin there, which Maisie thinks her mother's in. But then the coffin opens, and what's in there is bubble wrap. But that could almost be an episode ending. I don't know if you want to end the episode that quick, but it's kind of built up.
I don't think we do. I think we have to let it run. When I watched it, I thought, you can't really cut or add much to this. Nice tight script. So that's why I'm thinking we're going to have to invent an episode 2, or lots of it anyway.
It ends very quickly, so you could probably add quite a lot of stuff there. And it turns out the passengers are all experts in this kind of stuff. They're all sort of eminent scientists and stuff like that, If this was the 80s, I'm sure one of them would be Einstein. And then everything changes.
Maybe.
Guest appearance by Patrick Moore. And then it turns out that they're not on a train or a spaceship after all. They're in a lab with lots of equipment that they can investigate it. And they're all working for Gus. Gus.
Actually, here's a thought. Patrick Moore could be the voice of Gus.
I think Gus has to turn up in this version.
He was the games master at that point.
We're going to meet Gus, definitely. Yeah.
Presumably, in the actual version, it changes from looking like Orient Express to looking like a sort of gleaming white room. But In
Yeah.
the 80s, it probably would have been a gleaming white room to start with.
Some shonky lab equipment might turn up
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Some shonky lab equipment, yeah, maybe even a spinning computer still by that point.
I mean, if it is split into 2 episodes, that's kind of the episode ended for episode 1. It has to be, doesn't it? When they kind of realise the situation's changed.
Yeah.
I, in my mind, I've got the episode ending as being when it appears for the Doctor, and you get your crash zoom on Colin's face, and
Yeah.
it comes for him, which is why I think we have to invent a lot of episodes.
Okay, well, we'll crack on.
I can be talked out of that. I mean, you know, that's just my head canon.
We'll see what
Canon.
happens.
Canon.
So yeah, the Doctor calls Clara on his phone, which obviously no.
No.
It's a station. They've got communicators. He gave her a communicator.
Yeah,
Like the ones on the Hyperion, the big yellow things, you know. They've got comm system on the ship. I mean, you know, it's just like on the Liberator, you know, talk to Zen from anywhere.
Anyway, Gus responds by evacuating the chefs into space, which seems a bit extreme. But he wants them to investigate the mummy, so he's quite focused.
Mm-hmm.
I would say he's definitely focused on making that happen.
Oh, we're getting shots of Gus's hand now. We're getting shots from behind the chair.
Yeah.
Going, Time Lord.
Definitely. Is it a really deformed hand? Is it kind of a claw?
Is it? Yeah, I think he's a bit clawy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, Gus is. Maybe he's got robot bits.
I don't think he called Gus either in the 80s. I think it'd be Magnox or something. It's very postmodern to give him like an ordinary name, isn't it? And in the 80s, he would have had like a sci-fi name.
I'll go with Magnox. Let's change Gus to Magnox. Magnox. Nice. I, Magnox, am greater intellect than yours, Time Lord.
It could be Stephen Thorne, couldn't it? I am Magnox!
And I am the Doctor! Yeah, that'll be shout. And then Brian Blessed calls Peri going, "When are you coming home?" and the studio breaks.
So then they work out that the mummy is killing the weakest first. So anyone who's not very well gets bumped off.
I tell you what, then in the opening TARDIS scene, Peri's complaining about some complaint she's got. That's a complaint.
Backache, probably.
Yeah. And so that becomes a thing. Maybe we can invent an end of episode by threatening Peri with the mummy. So we can keep the Doctor for later.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, Peri's tied to a pole anyway. Still, isn't she?
Yeah.
So Peri's tied to a pole, going, "Phew, my spleen." And just at the time that we're having this scene where they're going, "Oh, it's attacking the weakest first," you know, literally it goes to Peri going, "Oh, fuck me, bastard spleen, knacked."
Oh, this fucking spleen.
The Doctor looks up and the crash zooms. He goes, "Peri!"
Spleen.
When we say she's tied to a pole, I assume we mean an actual pole and not like Tomek Bork.
It is pre-Brexit.
My Tomek Bork is. It's not being tied to Tomek Bork.
My spleen.
That could be her punishment. I shall tie you to Tomek Bork for all time.
I tell you, Pet. I quite like Yorkshire Peri. Mine is really nasty.
If only Peri had been from Yorkshire, it would have been so much better. Hey, back
I'm
up.
going to have nightmares of being tied to Tomek Bork.
You're just making this up as you go along.
Yep. But I do it brilliantly.
I've lost track. Okay, yeah. So, in the episode, Quell is the next victim because he's suffering from PTSD.
Yeah.
And he identifies that it's going to be him. Then the monster turns up, and there's an amazing effect shot where the mummy walks right through Capaldi's head.
Yeah.
They're not going to do in the 80s, but
No, It'll just be a sort of overlay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's it'll be a good try, but it'll be done with dissolves. It'll be a split screen. It'll be a split screen dissolve like Nell in Time Around Vanishing.
Yeah.
So it'll sell the idea. But
yeah, we get 66 countdown. With Quell providing information, I think, about not terribly well. And then the doctor decides he's planning to get the mummy to turn up again or something. I don't know, but Perkins has a bit of an argument with him.
Yeah.
But
I think while we're having this argument here, this is where we should start building that Peri's spleen's playing up and the mummy's going to come for her.
In the episode, they work out that Miss Pitt is next, but obviously in our version, it's Peri.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, Miss Pitt presumably already turned into a bird or vegetable or something. Thrown away, but
what we could do actually is that there's two of them tied to Tomek Bork in this room, in the hold, the Hyperion.
Tomek Bork is having a great day.
Tomek Bork is great, but it's really frustrating for them because I mean, like the TARDIS is right over there, and Peri's just going, if I could just get off Tomek Bork, and I could get the TARDIS safe, but I'm tied to Tomek Bork, so I can't. And then the mummy turns up. And then you have the thing of, but which one's after? And that could be how we get out of episode, get out of the cliffhanger.
The Doctor does eventually save Miss Pitt or Maisie in the actual episode. So, it could be Peri. That would be all right.
Yeah. It could be all right. Fine then. Fine. Yeah. So what happens to Maisie? Is Maisie around?
Maisie's around in the actual episode. I don't know about in our version.
Right. I like the image of the pair of them being tied to Tomek Bork. So what the heck?
All right. But now it's time for their escape thing, because in the original episode, the Doctor calls Clara and gets her to bring Maisie to the lab where he needs her to die, basically. And they have a bit of an argument about it. It's a bit of a fault in the episode logic because Gus doesn't object at this point. It is stood out for me, but I guess
Magnox would object.
Magnox would object. But I guess Peri can escape. Maybe he outs Magnox around his scar tissue or something, and
or maybe the Doctor just
you
goes.
know what? Because this is the 80s and it's season 22A. Magnox is going to be flanging after Peri because they're all flanging after Peri, apart from Syl.
Oh God, yeah.
And admittedly the Cybermen who just don't notice. But Shock Eye's clearly after her for more than just her meat. And the Borad's after her. And Davros would have been if he'd had any time with her.
Thank you, Doctor.
Have we got to the episode ending yet? Then have we had the
we must have done by this point.
The crash zoom into Colin and the crash zoom into Peri and the crash zoom into Magnox and because let's reveal Magnox at the end of episode 1 as well.
Yeah.
So Peri's going scream and Magnox is going and the Doctor's going Peri.
So who's playing Magnox? Who is Magnox in this?
I am. I'm not playing Magnox. I don't know. Yeah, who is playing Magnox then? Gabriel Wolf.
That's good. Yeah.
I don't actually know what Gabriel Wolf looks like.
He's Peep Peep's father in The Boy from Space.
Oh, right.
That's what Gabriel Wolf.
More familiar with his voice.
Yeah, he's less silver now than in that,
For a moment, when you said Gabriel Wolf, I was thinking Henry Wolf, which would be very strange.
Or John Savardent, that would work. Can you imagine
John Savardent? That would be camp. He seems quite.
It's the 80s. It's all camp.
Well, yeah, fair enough. John Savardent. Then fine. So John Savardent, we all
slap a bit of makeup on him. He's yeah.
Yeah. Okay. John Savardent.
Okay.
What an odd episode this is. Odd story. Would this be a classic or is it Time Lash 2? No, that's all down to Ron Jones.
It's a variable era.
It's a variable era. Ron Jones is a variable director. He gave us Vengeance on Varos, I think, is really quite nicely directed. He gave us Arc of Infinity and Time Flight. But there you are.
They're both very bad.
They're both very, very bad. So this could
Yeah.
go either way. This is
Yeah.
I think this is teetering on the brink. I think Jasper Carrott's solid, you know. And Tomek Bork is genius. Tomek Bork is a level of surrealism not to listen to the Web Planet. So you know, I'm all over that. But yeah.
You're all over Tomek Bork.
I'm all over. Well, apparently I'm all over watching Peri and some other woman being tied to Tomek Bork. But Paul brought Tomek Bork into it. Don't balk me.
Yeah, and John Savidan's there. Don't forget.
John Savidan's not John Savidan's not there though. John Savidan's in a room. I think John Savidan's, you know, like the Vogon in Hitchhikers. I think he's in a floating triangle kind of organic scare. Oh, he's not laughing like that. I mean, John Savidan, is he? Maybe he's laughing like he does in Blake 7. Yeah.
Okay. So either way, yeah.
Pinder. I think you should have a Pinder.
Who's
written this?
Yeah.
Is it Eric Say? If Eric Saywood's written this, I mean, a lot of people are dying, so it could be.
There's going to be a lot more deaths, isn't it? We're going to have to.
Yeah,
kill
and that means he'll put a Robert Holmes double act in, so that means John Savidan can have a Pinder, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, like Ron Pember, something like
that. So right, where are we? I've completely lost the plot.
Basically, Peri escapes somehow.
Yeah, cliffhanger resolved.
Cliffhanger resolved. She runs up the well, it's not a train, but she runs through the spaceship.
I was with Puccini before he died. It was so sad.
Anyway, they make it there.
Mm-hmm.
In the actual episode, the Doctor takes on Maisie's grief. In this one, he takes on Peri's spleen.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Colin Baker shouting, "Peri, I need your spleen."
For God's sake, cover your spleen.
Tomek Bork covers his face in his hands. Oh, the horror of it all. Oh, I should never have left the mother country.
There's going to be some kind of machine there that does spleen replacement or something like that. There's
going to be an ensplenment device.
They both get in a device. They kind of scream for a bit. There's blue lighting, and then the spleen's
Malcolm Clark really starts plinking at it. Yeah. And what happens is it looks like Edgeworth when he revitalizes in the Twin Dilemma. They turn into a bit of a diagram of veins and things from the back. You know, that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
the ensplenment. This is a real episode. I want to make it, even though it's impossible.
I want to make a podcast called The Ensplenment.
Ensplenment.
Maybe it could be a section of the show. Maybe it's the final rounding up, and now the ensplenment. Like the prologue, but at the end, you know.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Quite like time around. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so the Doctor sees the mummy and he does some amazingly brilliant deducting.
Yep.
Which is just stonkingly good. I can't imagine Eric Saywood writing something that good. But anyway, there's
I tell you what, I can totally imagine Colin, given that kind of material, rising to it.
He's a good actor, yeah.
You know, yeah, exactly. I'm always, you know, really mistreated by it, but he could do it. So yeah, you know, let's say Colin's really going for it in this one.
In all seriousness, I mean, if they did an episode which, you know, they address the relationship between the Doctor and Peri, we understand why she's still there.
Yeah,
that would be such a huge improvement to the era.
It would have been magnificent, wouldn't it? It would have been totally the way to take Doctor Who and really revitalize it. Yeah. And it's not like stuff like that wasn't being done then. I mean, you know, we're being a bit postmodern about it now with hindsight of the new series, but still, you know,
they could have done it. It's just, I don't know why they didn't.
Wasn't J&T's fault? It's because J&T didn't do script, I think, is why. Not like Barry Letts, who sat down and talked to Terence Dix and went, right, what are we doing here for the season? What, you know, do we have an arc? I didn't do arcs in that way, but yeah, I mean, the Doctor and Joe kind of have an arc, you know. So, you know, it would have been great. It would have been great, and you know, get Colin to keep his tux, and give them material like that, and they both rise to it.
I mean, Eric Saywood had basically given up by this point. I mean, he just wasn't interested, was he? I mean, he didn't really play.
It sounds like he was running into so many nonsensical things from J&T a lot of the time, and the weird petty jealousies and tantrums, and just not understanding script at all, or it seemed caring that much. It always seems J&T was a brilliant nuts and bolts man, brilliant at the money, you know, decent sometimes at stunt casting, and certainly good at publicity, but not a showrunner in the sense that you have now.
It wasn't about story. We didn't.
No, he just
No.
didn't. You know, it wasn't his forte. He wanted to do the tutus.
Yeah. He was a bit kind of, let's get this famous person in, and it doesn't actually matter if their presence adds or detracts anything from the story, just you know, as long as they're in there.
And we know that Eric Saywood thought that Colin Baker was doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so he just wasn't happy with the way it was going. And yeah, you could tell, certainly compared to his work in the Davidson era. So yeah, and you know, he was having to fight all the time to get people like Robert Holmes in. Whereas any sensible, if I was a producer of Doctor Who in the early 80s and Robert Holmes was up for it, I'd be using the most reliable Doctor Who writer I had a lot.
Yeah.
And all the rest of them, you know, and just stupid frustrations like that. I can really see where Eric Saywood's coming from a lot of the time. I know he just sort of moaned a bit, but you know, I can see his point. Having read the J&T biography as well.
Interesting book. Yeah.
Fascinating book. It's just all these unprofessional hassles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally empathise with Saywood getting frustrated. I think I would have walked.
This is the Doctor. Present time, the High Council Time Boss. Keeper of the legacy of Rassilon. Defender of the laws of time. Protector of Gallifrey.
The Doctor obviously has an amazing bit of deduction. He realizes that the mummy is in fact a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I surrender. That's kind of the climax of the episode. And then in the episode as it stands, Gus immediately blows up the train.
Yeah.
And it all happens very quickly. I mean, that's the kind of the weakest part of the episode. It's just how quickly it all happens. And we never really find out what transpired. So, I mean, if this is episode 2 for us, I think we're going to spend most of the episode now finding Magnox.
We're going to find Magnox. This is Gus kind of gets away with it, really, doesn't he?
There's some kind of throwaway line about what happened to him. I can't even remember what happened.
Yeah, but there's no. It's not satisfying in that way.
It's not satisfying.
So presumably the train's going to blow up, and the Doctor goes, right, everyone into the TARDIS. Like in Earthshock, where they just grab all the troopers and go right into the fucking TARDIS.
Yeah. Maybe this is where they evacuate the air, and the Doctor can have a sort of last minute moment of genius to try and, you know, save everyone's lives.
Respiratory bypass system because Ian Levine's saying respiratory bypass system. He is. That's what's happening at this point. He's saying respiratory bypass system, and J&T is going, yep, the fans know that's from Pyramids of Mars or whichever. And is it Pyramids or is it Terror of the Zygons? Or is it both of them? It doesn't matter. And so I think because of that, because Gus didn't know he was a Time Lord and the respiratory bypass system, I like saying respiratory bypass system. And so, you know, yeah, he saves the day like that, and then they're on a mission to find Gus, or at this point, do they dump the rest of the scientists somewhere, and we're off to find Gus.
Yeah, or Magnox.
Find Magnox.
Yeah.
Given the character of the Sixth Doctor, do you think he would do the surrendering part, or would he go all Sergeant Major? Shoulders back, soldier. Stand to attention. I'm in charge. Stand down.
I think he'd do the surrendering, and it would be completely unexpected for him and surprising and very Doctorish. He once he's worked out the solution. This is Doctor. He goes, "Oh yeah, I'll do the thing." Now. Doesn't have to mean it. And he'd probably say that as it fell. I didn't mean it. But you know, and he'd give it a quip as it went. Now, so I don't know what that would be either. We're not doing well on the quips tonight. But Tomek Bork happened, so that was good.
Say something like, "That's quite some injury you've got, soldier."
Yeah, that was smart. Or get that scene too. Or
can you spare a plaster? I don't know.
Yeah. None of them are good, are they?
No.
It wouldn't be a good quip. It'd be a quip.
That's fair.
It wouldn't be in the script. It would be just something that Colin Baker had added in.
Yeah, quite possibly. So the mummy's gone, and they're all piling into the TARDIS, and they're off to find Magnox, and now we're just inventing from scratch.
Yeah, well, I think that's fair.
I think so. We're basically in the second half of episode 2.
Yeah.
So this is the big bad. This is the big boss. And Magnox is what, on a planet? Who's Magnox then?
He's on a triangle, isn't he? I thought he was on a triangle.
He's on a triangle seat, yeah, but that must be on a planet, or is he just literally in space on a triangle seat? going, I left it clean.
I'm guessing he's very ill, which is why he's worried about the mummy.
Yeah. But maybe he's who the soldiers were after.
Maybe he's the general.
He's concerned that there's unstoppable soldiers that are,
he's
out to get
John
him.
Connor. He's John Connor in hideous Magnox form, played by John Savardant. Yeah, and this Terminator's been coming after him all the time. So yeah, but he's evil John Connor.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's got Tomek Bork on his side, so
he has,
yeah.
So is Tomek Bork, when the thing exploded, was Tomek Bork transported back to is that Pinder then? Is Tomek Bork is basically his servant?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Right, good. Okay, cool. I'm glad Tomek Bork survived. I did worry about him because I thought the Doctor isn't going to take Tomek Bork. He's gonna have one of those Colin Baker moments of going, no, I don't like you. Slam the door in his face and Tomek Bork's swearing in Russian when the ship blows up. But he was tied to Peri for a bit, so swings and roundabouts, Tomek. Swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, we'll have the big climax, the confrontation with John Savardant.
Yeah. He's probably a bit like Mestor. I'm seeing this thing as being like the twin dilemma when he goes in and faces off against Mestor.
Yeah.
And it's all standing up and going, right, Mestor, you slug. I've got Peri spleen in me and I'm pissed off.
And he chucks some acid on him.
And they chuck some acid on him, shouting, nobody loves you, nobody needs you, nobody cares for you. So who is Magnox? Do we have a backstory for him? Do we know, or is it just literally we're sticking with what we've got? Is he flanging after Peri? Why is he all gnarled? Was he once comely?
Yeah, he's like Hitler in his bunker. He's kind of a tyrant who's, on his last.
All right, yeah, cool.
Last gasp sort of thing.
He had an accident with radioactive acid, and he's a bit gnarled,
Yeah.
And this is one reason why the mummies come after him.
That's a bad one. So maybe he's a despot of his planet, and the rebels created the mummy to come, or the mummies to come after him, and also made sure he was involved in this accident. Like when they tried to plant a bomb under Hitler, it didn't happen. But this time he kind of got scarred by it. He survived. That was one attempt, and then the mummies were a follow-up attempt. Because they'll go for him because of his trek.
This is the moment where we discover that Mrs. Pitt was in his army, so now she turns up as a mummy.
Yeah,
nice.
Socks it to him.
Nice, liking that. So she'll be the one who takes his life, or maybe they all come back as mummies. No, that'll be expensive.
Yeah,
couldn't afford that. So yeah, Mrs. Pitt comes back as a mummy, and kills Magnox.
Yeah.
And inexplicably, presumably, this makes Peri go, all right, I'll stick around, which proves how demented Peri is at the end of the day.
Well,
would he be doing that very 70s 80s thing of protesting all the time while he's being killed off, going, no, you cannot do this to me, I am Magnox.
Yeah, stop. Yeah, absolutely.
Stop, do not kill me. There's a lot of that goes on.
Excellent. And we have a nice little touching scene where the Doctor says to Jasper Carrott, come on then. And Jasper Carrott goes,
yeah, he tells him about a mole he's got in his garden.
When the Nutter gets into the TARDIS, does the Nutter sit next to you? Yeah.
In the episode, there's a great scene on the beach at the end, but obviously the Doctor and Clara are reconciled.
Yeah.
He's got a fantastic line where he says,
sometimes the only choices you have are bad ones, but you still have to choose.
Yeah.
Which kind of, and she notes a bit.
This is the summing up scene in the TARDIS.
It would be in the TARDIS, but I can imagine Colin running with that and doing really well with it.
Totally. And the final line becomes Peri's, who said, you've made the best choice ever. You got rid of that fucking jacket.
It might have been on the beach. It might have been all sort of mind warp and
I thought exactly
sky, pink sea and green
when
sky.
When I watched it, I thought, right, Quantel the fuck out of that, and that's where I'm going off.
Yeah, we got that.
Right.
4 or 5 planets in the sky. Just
absolutely. Yeah. And and again, as I was saying earlier, it gets the effect over. It gets the idea over. It's not as quick as nowadays, but it works. So that was Colin Baker's Mummy on the Orient Express, starring Colin Baker, Nicola Bryant, Michael Shears, and Jasper Carrott.
Jasper Carrott, yeah.
Lots of other people that I can't
Tomek
remember.
Bork.
Yeah.
Bork, with a special guest appearance by Tomek Bork as Peri's pole. That, my friend, is Time Ram.
10 million years of absolute power. That's what it takes to be really corrupt.
I'd love to watch that. I think that's
Yes.
bonkers, and it's proper Doctor Who bonkers. That really works for me, oddly enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we think that our version would be better than the one we've got?
No.
Yeah.
I think it would be madder than the one we've got. I think it's a great shame Colin didn't get stories like that.
Yeah.
With dialogue like that. If we're assuming the dialogue's up to the level of the Capaldi episode, then that would have been nice to have him, to give him and Nicola Bryant that kind of stuff.
I think we were lucky that we got Mummy on the Orient Express, because I think there's a lot of stories from the modern era that wouldn't have worked with a Sixth Doctor.
Yeah.
Or that would have worked a lot less well.
Yeah, indeed.
It's a surprisingly good match. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be better than the episode we've got, but it might be the best episode of the Colin Baker era.
Yes, it may well be. Certainly memorable. It would certainly be entertaining. As long as they just change those sodding sets from the Hyperion. No, unacceptable. But so how do they always used to rate the story in the old days? How do you rate the story out of 10 then?
10. Say about 7.
That's
Yeah, I'd give it a 7 or 8. I think. Yeah,
I was hovering 6, 7. So yeah, 7 then. That's not bad. That's a good middle range, above average story.
Yeah.
Magnox is I don't think he won Villain of the Year in the one season poll, but that's only because Tomek Bork was in it. Yeah, good. I enjoyed that.
I think we should when we if we keep doing this long enough, in theory, when we've got an entire season's worth of like imaginary Colin Baker stories, we can go, so this is our imaginary season.
What we can do, actually, we could start
22.
building up. As we do a story, we'll place it into our own seasons, our own Who canon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, I like this. It redeems the Sixth Doctor Peri relationship. It's good.
It would work really well for them, and I can totally see the actors working well in it. I can totally see them pulling it off, and as you say, Peri looking stunning dressed like that, and Colin looking great in a tux. Nicola
Bryant, actually a genuinely good actress who didn't get
hell yeah
much in the way of decent material.
God, yeah, absolutely. So it would lift, lift their era a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if we had, obviously, if we were like genuinely doing this, you would spend more time going back and giving her more to do, because, for reasons we explained earlier, the companion doesn't get a lot to do in this.
Absolutely, yeah. But she can face off. She can help with the battle against Magnox at the end. She can keep people there.
Yeah.
He can only kill people who've got spleens, and so the Doctor, who has 2 or 3. Now is writhing in agony on the floor, and the Peri staggers forward, and Magnox is going, how? And she goes, because I've got no spleen, and socks him one, and he goes, no, not my beautiful face, and so on and so on. It's brilliant.
It's a great laughy ending. She says, so I can have my spleen back, and they both go.
And at the end of the credits, it just goes, no.
No, seriously though, I can't produce insulin.
I need 4 spleens.
One day, I shall come back.
So, next.
All right.
The random number generator gave us Doctor number 7. So we've got Sylvester McCoy. And the first story it gave me was Dragonfire.
I can't see that working.
No,
That's just crazy.
Ridiculous. So I spun it again, and beautifully enough, we've got Sylvester McCoy in The Crotons. Oh yeah. This is a warning.
You Not ahoy, Bray.
The crotons. So that's just a thing of beauty and joy forever, I think.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
Well, once again, it's time that we took stock and thanked our listener. Hello, listener. We're very glad you're still there. We realise that the change help. We have been Time Ram. If you'd like to get in touch, we can be found on Twitter. Baz is at Baz Time Ram. I'm at Rupert Booth, and Paul is at PaulFerry8. Don't know what he did previously. And we've got a Facebook page, if you want. Have a look at that. Thank you to Ben Jones for providing our music, and if you'd like to support the production of this podcast, then it would be very, very nice to you indeed. You can just go straight to patreon.com/timeram, where you'll get access to exclusive content. Trust me, it's really, really worthwhile. We'll be back for Sylvester McCoy's Doctor Who and the Crotons next time on Time Ram.
Goodbye. I think there's also a company that disposes of nuclear waste or something called Magnox in Galway.
There is. I remember we got a school trip to Sellafield because hurrah!
Like you do, yeah.
Which I just kept thinking, this looks like Blake 7. This looks really like Blake 7.
Yeah.
And then thinking, how many rads are going into my net?
We should just cut that bit of dialogue out and stick it on the end of an episode. How many rads are going into my net?